Today is May 18, 2024. Actually, May 16th. May 16, 2024, 8:17 a.m. I had lunch with a former coworker and a Christian brother of mine at Micron at Chakarama. Now, he didn't eat much, but I ate quite a bit, and he had a meeting to go to, and he's employed. And I looked, and I'm not employed. And what I've noticed about that conversation is he is in touch with reality. That's the difference between him and me. And what I've also noticed is that because I am detached from reality, I am unable to make the right, reasonable conclusion about what things are occurring. I began to talk about yesterday concerning what I did with bed bugs and Red Cross. And many years ago, I donated blood to Red Cross, and I donated it 4 times in 1 year. See, in order to recover from because Red Cross comes around the intervals are far faster than when a person can recover from giving blood. And so it is possible to severely impact in a negative way my own health. But I did that 4 times in 1 year, to which at one point my veins were so small because of lack of blood that the organizer who came to collect the blood could not find my vein. And I'm weak to caffeine. And so when I worked there, I drank a lot of caffeine. And what that does is it severely undermines my health. And I did that not knowing what consequences there are to myself now and in the future of my health and my stability. So then I told him about my current predicament with a current rental that I have, and what I explained to him that in order for me to get a good night's sleep there, I would have to pay the price of blood to these bed bugs. So about a few weeks ago, I fumigated with chemicals. Fogger, there's a insecticide that's a fogger. I use that. I got it from Walmart. And the other part is I used a spray chemical all around in the room that I am using. And I thought, that's gonna take care of everything, and I should be able to get a decent sleep every night afterwards. What I noticed is that the room that I have is essentially a vacuum where I create an environment where I eradicate the bed bugs. And then externally from other rooms bed bugs will come into the room after the chemicals have subsided a little bit. And so what I found myself doing is that I am essentially what I'm doing essentially that my I'm essentially chemically undermining my own health while there are breeding grounds around me that is constantly bringing in bed bugs into the room. So to this day, which started like 5 months ago or something, when I moved to the second floor where this issue occurred, when I was on the first floor, there wasn't too many bed bugs. Maybe a onesies, a twosies that I could get used to, but it is now when I wake up, I see like welts on my body from these bed bugs and that had come in, onesies and twosies. And so I began to see myself. Now, where am I leading myself to now? What I've noticed, it also deals with uh, how I lived my life and how uh, the perspective that I have, and it all culminates into a parking uh, a contract that I signed uh, a couple years ago, a year and a half ago, when I started to work from this office downtown to become a consistent profitable day trader. So apparently on the contract somewhere, which I just neglected, is that I have to give a 30-day notice of cancellation of the contract. And in a few days, I should have instantly, when I canceled this office here, I should have immediately called the parking space to synchronize it so that I could minimize the cost. But now it'll be $125 cost, which is essentially $125 is essentially uh, 1 day of washing dishes, which will be essentially just given away with one hard days of work will be just given away because I could not make that connection between the contract that I signed and and the fee that I have to pay. So as I sat and thought about this more, uh, it's a good thing that I'm in control of my emotions at this stage now because of so many instances where the trading has turned against me and I would lose so many challenges that when I lose this $125, okay, $125, which is essentially equivalent to about four challenges, 5K challenges. So I look at that, I look at things in that perspective now, with equating money with the challenges that I'm taking on. Now, now moving now, why am I recording this? I'm recording it because I've heard of stories where people for years and years and years will trade uh, their hard-earned money and give it away without knowing how to truly figure out and become profitable. And they'll just keep doing it because they're in a cycle. They're in a forever loop of imprisoned in their emotion and their greed. They're imprisoned in that world. So then it also relates to my two children who just left, up and left. They just up and left without leaving me any communication, means of communication. And then as I sat this morning. In about a day or two, I'll be leaving this office into my new office. Uh, the scenery will be gone, but I will have more time to focus on my day trading more so and deeply. And then I started to make that connection between the real world and the world that I'm living in. And I told a Catholic deacon, uh, I have no idea why my kids have left and didn't leave any means of communication. And I told the same thing with a Christian brother of mine, which I had lunch with, Peter. Now I had that conversation. Um, and then recently there's a Saturday Night Live skit where these two teenagers, Beavis and Butthead, And I saw that, and what they usually say is like, "Oh, I had no idea. I have no idea. I don't know. I don't." So they say these things because they're enclosed in a world of themselves. For example, apparently there's a timeline change between time zones, and they were in a tour, and so on one side of this one line, it's 1 hour ahead, and on this side, it's normal hour. And so they would go back and forth and say, "Hey, I'm in the future, I'm in the back," and then Butthead apparently broke his either Beavis or Butthead broke his one of his arm when he fell, and he says, "Well, let's go back to the other line 1 hour before, and then your arm will be fixed." So this is something that is they are in their own world, discovering what's happening through their shell of enclosure, trapped in the world that they're living in. So uh, I find myself looking into the scenarios that I have, and I finally figured out why my kids have left. And the reasoning is this: I am a convicted felon. I'm also their father. I was not uh, I was not available for them while they're growing up, partially due to the divorce that I had, and the other part is uh, the other part is I was clueless to how I need to play my role as a father in their lives. There are ones and twosies and small things that I did for them, but that was not something that it's something that I could not fulfill as a father. And recently, uh, my, uh, my intention to help my own family, my parents, through their old age, and the conflict that I had with my siblings, created this environment where I have been tossed into the legal system, first from the civil litigation to criminal litigation, and now finally I have I have become a convicted felon for grand theft. So these are things for normal people is something that is embarrassed, is something that is not is not something that they want in their lives. And also, I have been living in the homeless shelter, and I lost one of my eye. And so and I'm unemployed essentially, and washing dishes, uh, just unable to get a job as an engineer. And that's gonna continue for the next 6 more years. And I'm pursuing a career where essentially 99% of the people in the world cannot do. And people who tried a little bit and they've gotten a taste of what the reality of day trading is, they've lost and they moved on. And they're focused on the life that they're living in a normal world. And still, I'm focusing on becoming a consistently profitable day trader still yet. And there are and fortunately there is this this God who has, despite my significant deficiencies, has so far allowed me to keep my job as a dishwasher, and still in a in a move for me to acquire a room away from bedbugs and gave me an alternative to this office uh, in another office, and given me this opportunity to pursue this dream of mine. And so now I'm beginning to see when people who work for a corporation, big corporations like Micron, and the people that deals with it, if a mistake is made, they get incredibly upset. They cannot make a single mistake working for Micron. People can't do that. But for me, as a day trader, I make mistakes all the time. Essentially, the mistakes that I make has led me to more than 3 years of trading and losses, 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 losses. And still, I need to say to myself and believe in myself that at the end of this road, that I'm going to be successful. Even if I'm successful, I know that I'm going to keep falling down because that's the natural thing that happens when day trading. There is a apparently a famous uh, multi-billionaire who is a trader who predicted what's going to happen with as he makes multi-million-dollar trades, and even having 100 to 200% returns per year, he makes mistakes on a consistent basis because his ability because his efficacy is 60 to 70%. That means that he's failing 30% even at his level. So despite all that has occurred, and 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 understanding it, and then when I look at the news, there's things about people use these things called woke. What does that mean, woke? Woke from what? Waking up from what? What are, sleeping and waking up? So what is the content of waking up? And so I looked at the charts this morning, waiting for my payday today. I thought it was going to be yesterday, and I sent a text message to the new rental room that I'm will be staying, hopefully, and they're saying that they expected me to give a security deposit, but I can't give a security deposit. Maybe I'll be paid today. It'll be great if I get paid today, and so then I'll pay for the security deposit, and then in a couple months things will work out. So now I understand why both of my kids have left without means of communication. And I have my YouTube channel, and I had this sense that they are aware that I'm I'm a content creator on YouTube based on my day trading day-to-day trials. So despite the fact that they've completely disconnected from me, I will uh, most likely, once I achieve success, then things that have built up to go in this direction will be proven right. But proving it right when the odds of success is so high is going to be very, very difficult, and it has shown it. After all I have to do is make 8% of this amount that I have, and I'll pass the challenge. After that, it's only 5%. But it is so difficult due to the fact that there's two severe deficiencies that I have in trading, which is emotional control and the setups that I'm using. These two combinations and risk management, and it's it's essentially like a fog that has been rolled in. That fog is not contained in anything, and so that's what it is. This risk management setup and emotion is like a uh, uncontrolled fog that rolls around, and what I need to do is bottle it up, bottle up this fog of and uh, risk management and setup and emotion, bottle up and put it into a lamp, just like a genie. And when I bottle up and I rub it a few times, then it'll pop up and my trading will blossom. Every time I need to trade right, all I have to is rub on that genie bottle. And so that's where I am. And I had to disclose this to myself, essentially. That's what's going on with me right now. All these things are happening. And despite the fact that I have to give away 1 full days of washing dishes for nothing because the contract says I have to let them know a month in advance. It's just a parking space. So that's the reality of current situation, and I'm moving ahead. And uh, right now, I'm in this office. Everybody knows. I mean, people they people who are plugged into the telephone line of communication know that I'll be leaving, and essentially, I'm just walking here, just like a walking dead. I'll be gone in a couple of days, and nobody will know me, whatever it is. And chances are, at age 55, I will never return to this area again. Who knows? But that's the reality of the situation. That's what's going on. And all I can say is thank God that despite my psychological and physical disabilities, that I have employment that allowed me to continue on this journey despite all these uh, uh, failures and knockdowns, and I could have been smarter about the situations and made things better, fine tune it, button things up. So essentially, going forward, what I need to do, and may God be so kind to help me get and move in that direction, is to bottle up that uncontrolled fog and put it into this bottle, this genie bottle, and 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 every time I make a trade, all I have to do is rub it a few times, and then out comes this result, and and that is the path that I've chosen. That is the path that I've chosen, and I have to be very, very honest about my previous career as an engineer. Yesterday, when I was having a lunch with Peter, who is a fine engineer, he's meticulous. You have to be meticulous when you work for a corporation. You cannot make a single mistake. A single mistake is a very, very costly, it's like a buried mine. A single mistake, as time progresses, it could come back, and just like writing a code. A single line of code placed into a repository where hundreds of people uses it, that if that code is incorrect, it'll spread everywhere and it'll undermine the efficacy and efficiency of the company. And that is why they have to be correct all the time. For a day trader like myself, I'm looking at it from a totally different perspective. And I have to say that this is the point where I cut my ties with my engineering background. This is the day that I inform the world. I'm not consistently profitable right now, but I'm cutting my ties. I'm cutting my strings. I'm ending the years of what I was not, and I was never meant to be. When I went to an engineering school, I was taking on something that I had essentially no interest whatsoever studying, and yet I passed. And that was so difficult. When I lose interest and I'm trying to get to it and I have to meet a certain goal, getting there, every little second is so painful. And yet, I got a job afterwards in an area where I had essentially no interest whatsoever. I did acquire knowledge, which now is useful, but I have to say that I had zero interest. And every day, every minute was a painful situation because I was never interested in engineering work. But I acquired the knowledge painfully. If I loved it, things would have been easier, and I would have been far more successful. But now I realize that I was never prepared. I was never prepared to be an engineer, nor had any interest in working as an engineer. Right now, that's why I was working for a company for a little bit, and I was laid off. I was working for a company, and I couldn't gain traction because my interest was essentially uh, just a just an uncontrolled fog in that environment. So now I have been so now I have been placed in this situation where I have essentially, just like I was mentioning this to I just mentioned to this Peter, a Christian brother of mine. I told him, look, things are things are forming just very similar to Job. By no means am I anything closer to Job, but things are happening because I've essentially lost everything. I've lost everything. Even my rights, constitutional rights, have been waived because I am a criminal for the 10-year span. 4 years have passed, so I have 6 more years to look forward to, uh, which then I will be 62 years old, which means essentially anything that I do will be more costly, and and I will be treated differently, and 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 that's the way it's going to be for the next another 6 more years. After 6 years, my criminal record will be erased. That's the condition of the settlement that I had. By then, my kids will be 6 more years. My kids will be about 30 years old each. Both of them will be 30 years old. And chances are, unless they see who I am, and that I am also fallible, and my intention was truly honorable, it is just that it is just that I'm not an average person either. I'm not an average person. And once they see that, maybe communication will start. But until then, they think I'm probably the worst human being on earth because the way that I have lived this world. Okay? So hopefully they'll see that there are people out there who are who are trapped in their own world, and they cannot escape, and they do things because they're under that circumstance. There's a statement called victim of circumstance. I think it's called the Three Stooges, and the bald headed guy Mo, he always says this. He says he says I'm a victim of circumstances, and it's true. A victim of circumstances. It is the world that they're living in that is encased in it, and you just rub it a few times, and out comes the genie. And so the combination of these three things And it is a representation of my inability to make the changes that are required for me to escape this world, this bottle, this this bottle that is encased these three things, which is risk management, the setups, and emotion. And when these things do occur, when they've been trapped, it causes 3+ years of full-time day trading to be ineffective in trading. And once I wake up to the fact that that's where I am, I will keep repeating and repeating and repeating and repeating until I push up the daisies. So hopefully today, what these successful day traders already know, that maybe today is the point where I've truly turned a corner. And I've alluded to this fact many days ago about turning the corner. This is probably, and one of the statements about the professional day traders talk about is that once you trade and every trade you make is incorrect, then you become profitable. I guess that's what that means. And so the adjustments that I make is to make sure I have this genie in a bottle uh, understood and fully, that allows me to move ahead and become finally a consistently profitable day trader. But I know as a day trader that being a consistently profitable day trader, it's not going to happen overnight. It's still going to take a lot of work, hard work, because it's whatever is in me is written in my DNA, and controlling that DNA is it's going to be very, very difficult. It's rewriting my DNA is going to be very, very difficult.